So with variable data printing, you all know it's really all about the data, right? Good names, well formatted, and good addresses, well formatted. So anytime you're doing any variable data printing, as we all know, we don't send out these large mailings anymore. We just saturate everybody. We're trying to make sure our ROI is really, really good. So we're trying to send out as few as we can to get as much return as we can. So it's very important that you respect every single letter or flat or parcel that goes out. And the worst thing you could do is get a package where the name is not properly formatted, spelled wrong, or the address is not as best as it can be. That's why you run it through all the data quality services, including CAS, which is required, of course. But understand the quality of addresses so you can educate your customers. So a lot of times you'll get your customers handing you this. They don't want you to touch the records. They want you to mail them as is. But what they don't know is you can not only standardize their addresses, but you can make them look beautiful, but standardized. So you'll do mailings for like nonprofit organizations, other companies that are very particular. They want it to look as personalized as they possibly can. So in our validate records window, you can actually tell it to expand certain components. So instead of being suite, STE, it can be suite. And there'll be a comma or a period, like STE period. So our software will actually format everything so it looks as if you hand wrote it or hand wrote it, you know what I mean? So you're spelling out certain things and punctuating certain other elements. So when the person gets it, they say, well, obviously this was done by a person specifically to me. So you want to make those addresses look as targeted as they possibly can. Demographics are becoming more and more important. A lot of people talk about demographics, but it's super important to actually know your audience, who you're sending it to, especially when we start talking about variable data printing. You literally can change the position, the color, the images on every single piece of mail tailored to that one person and for multiple jobs. So you can have customers, you could have 10 customers, print one job and have one mail.dat file and be completely variable as if you did each one of the jobs individually. Formatting. We talk about mixed case versus uppercase, in different applications. I prefer mixed case, which we call perfect caps. So like McBain, MC, capital B, all those little tiny things are very important. Like Trish was saying, it's the details. And the address is the first thing they see. And then we talked about standardizing and spelling out certain street names or punctuating them. And font usage. I've seen pieces come in the mail where their fonts, like they use 10 fonts. It's like, give me a break, use one font, maybe a couple styles. And important to use descriptions that are very brief, to the point. Because on average, they're just going to look at it and they're going to throw it away, or they're going to look at it and it's going to mean something to them. It's got to mean something pretty quick. So what do you need? So obviously you're going to need a mailing list. And I'm going to show you later how to actually get this stuff in real time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the demographics you want. And a mailing list that you want in real time. Images, you're going to need lots of images. And of course you'll need AccuZIP. Because AccuZIP can do a lot in its core product, as you've learned like in Terry's class in Merge Purge and Eric's class with AccuTrade. AccuZIP can do a lot. It's extremely comprehensive, and a lot of customers that have been using it for 20 years don't know the full potential of what it can do. So you're going to learn a lot today on this, and I'll bring you to this website later to show you what we can do on that. Okay, print assets. When you're doing variable data printing, it's really important to be organized. It's like, you look at my closet, it's not as organized as my wife's closet. Like, she's got her shoes stacked up and everything. My closet, everything's, but when I do software development and I do variable data printing, I am really organized. So the folder structures, the naming conventions that you use, everything has to be meaningful or unique. So when you're doing variable data printing, when it comes to variable maps, for example, which typically is one map per address where you give driving directions, you better have some ability to create a unique file name for every single image so you can tie that to that specific person. Remember, we're doing bulk mailing or large mailing, direct mailing. So in order for us to be personalized per individual, it's got to be very, very unique. So some of the images in here, like we're going to show you today, we're going to do a real estate farm where we have 3 properties we're selling. And we're going to do it for 3 agents with their own farms in one mailing. So it's super important that the images, there's not very many of them because they're pictures and inside the home, they're pictures inside the home. We named them meaningful names. Like 1 goes with 1A and 1B, 2 goes with 2A and 2B. But with the variable, they're all driving directions from that person's home to the home they're selling. Data-driven variables. So most of you, well, actually all of you, unless you're doing EDDM, will have a database of names and addresses formatted. And that's typically the way people think of variable data printing. It's what you see as is printed on the mail piece. But today we're going to learn about incorporating business logic. How many of you use XMPie? XMPie, great software product. They use business logics. Matter of fact, the business logic aspect of XMPie is completely separate from all the other, like the design part. So the business logic is important because typically you'll use a code or codes or some value in a field to dictate what's going to happen, whether it be a color change, a font change, an image change, a position on the image, like if it's going to move around the card, and A/B testing, like you want to print all the even numbered records in blue and all the odd number records in red, and then you can see which one does the best performance, or you want to leave certain values on or off. You could do that type of testing with business logic. And then there's the point, it's a pointer to a particular asset on your computer, which it could be, a local file, it could be an entire document. So you could switch out documents if they give you these press-ready files, and you can use them in AccuZIP, and you can just call them based on a value in a field, but it's a pointer to some local file or network file that you can grab in as that asset. Now, typically when people are running their stuff through either our AccuZIP or our RESTful APIs, they'll give us all the pointers to wherever they're doing. So in other words, instead of just giving us name and address, they'll give us the whole record, which includes their pointers, any of their other values that they're using for variable data, and they'll run it all through our system so that these values will stay with that record for the lifetime. So that map GUID is a pointer to a file on the local system. The other one, the number 2, is a pointer to those images. Remember the ping? We had 2.png and then 2a and 2b. So we're going to use that to point to those files. So simple variable data, printing it as is, this is what it looks like. The only thing that really changes on every single mail piece is it's a beautiful mail piece. You guys, this is for the show. It's not like, I didn't spend a whole lot of time as far as the design because we could, I could make curvatures or do whatever. I'm putting it together to show you the kind of the concept. But this is what you would typically do. You print the name and address, and you put all the other stuff on it. Maybe with the address of where the home is, I put the Latin long. And then you go and you have conditional variable data, and you're using business logic. So in this particular case, those images on top will change whether they're single or they're married. So, and you can, you think about all the different messaging that you can do, or whether they have kids, or how many kids, or if they have vehicles, because when they're selling a home, you can market to that one person, because everything is one-to-one, that you have a home with a garage, a 3-car garage, or if they're renters and they don't own a home. So you can use the conditional business logic to dictate what entices that renter. Maybe it's a buyer's market, and you have some other symbol that represents that. But these values will change as it's printing. These values here change, are read in from the database, how many miles it is to that particular address, and that's the driving directions. And that's a different postcard to that particular one. And then we continue with the business logic. Notice that we have the same picture, but all we're doing is reversing them. And this is a simple case. You could apply this to color or whatever, but in this case, I'm actually, based on the logic, the business logic, I'm inverting the pictures. So this one's printing up here, and this one's printing down here. It could print all the way across the screen or whatever. I'm just showing you an example of what you could use for business logic all in one print stream. So the local variable data, this one is getting a lot more complicated. So everything on this piece is variable. All those images, even the indicia. So if you have a customer that wants to use their own indicia, you can put it up there, and then our mail.dat, it segments it in the mail.dat, so you can have different payment, people that pay, different mailer IDs, different crids inside of the mail.dat. But everything on this we're showing you is variable on the images. All the other stuff is variable too. This is variable, and all of this is variable. And that is variable. And that's on one printed piece. So now we're going to turbocharge. What we're going to do is we're going to combine. So this is showing you the combination of all of those different techniques across one print job. So these are 3 postcards that were printed on the same print job using the regular variable, pointers to images, and the duplex output. So AccuZIP actually generated this. So this is record number 1. These 2 images, this is record number 1. So it did true duplex, record number 2, and record number 3. Pretty cool, huh? So now it's demo time. So I'm going to kind of show you how to put it all together. All right, so the first thing you want to do with AccuZIP is you want to set up the paper size in here. So if you wanted to go ahead and let's say you're going to set up a postcard, you click Create New Form. We'll give it a name, postcard, and we'll call it, 5 by 9, something like that, or we'll do whatever, 3.5 by 5.5. And then you'll go ahead and set up all of your sizes. So your width here is going to be 5.5, your height is going to be 3.5, and then we just leave all of the gutters all 0. And that's it. We'll just hit OK. And that's it. So we've set up the paper size here, and that's really important. The paper size has to match in our template. So now I'm going to go to our template. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to click Labels. And I have one set up here, which is the simple one. So I'm going to click Edit. And notice that we have an image here. Now this image was brought in. If I double click on it, we have a pointer to a static image. This is not variable, it's just a pointer to that image. And you can bring in high res, print ready images, and they'll print beautifully out of AccuZIP. And then so each one of these images is a pointer to a specific image. Now this is important to see because see, we're pointing to this file. All of them are in the same path. This is 1A, this is 1B, and then here we have the address, and then of course your address and your barcode and your address information. If I open up the address, I'm going to show you a little trick here. We use this reduce. Reduce is a function that removes all of the spaces, not only at the beginning and the end of the words, but in the middle. So if you have extra spaces in the middle of your words, it'll trim everything out so there's only a single space between all words, and that's reduce. You can use, instead of using a plus sign and then adding a carriage return and a line feed between each one of these lines, all you do is put a semicolon, and that will automatically create a brand new line in our template. The reason that's important is because if you have any objects to the left side of the address and you create individual lines for each one of the address blocks, like the name, then have a separate line for the address, and you have images next to this, if one of the lines are blank, like for company name, it won't move the address in the city up. They'll literally be a blank line. So by using the semicolon option, they'll kern. So if the line is empty, it will kern up. So that's where we click here, remove line if blank. So if there's a blank line, it'll move it up. If they're individual lines, it wouldn't do that because there's images to the left or to the right. So that's a cool little trick. And then this is just a text tool where we use this text tool to actually type these values in. And then we just hit return when we wanted them, and then I chose to do a new font. So this is typically the way a static one-sided postcard, not duplex printing, would be created. So if I would close that, and then I'm going to go ahead and print it. I'm just going to print to a regular PDF driver. I'll send it off to VDP Simple, and then I'll open it. And output. And there we go. So we have one-sided, every single address one-sided printing. So now let's go to something a little more complex. We're going to show you the variable data printing. This is the extreme one. This is the one that does duplex printing. Notice that you don't see a picture. All of them are variable. But I want you to notice that you now see a second part down here. So both images are only record number one. The way we get away with that is when we right-click on the template and we choose optional bands, we create a second detail band. So by creating the second detail band gives us the duplex printing in AccuZIP. Aha moment, huh?
Good.
Yeah, it's very good. Because each detail band stands on its own. Typically a detail band would be like an invoice where you print everything in the detail band. Your header's one, your footer's one, and like an invoice, your detail, right? But now we have a separate detail that can be completely formatted differently. And our detail bands are actually set up to equal the paper size. So in this particular case, under general, our paper size I set to 5.375. I think this is printing on a 5.5-inch postcard. If I wanted to, I could make the template a little bigger and we have full bleed off the postcard. So when we print it and we cut. That's pretty hard though. If you guys have your printer or your cutter, there's some small amount of gap, like a point something, so otherwise you're going to bleed off into the next card, right? Especially when you're doing this type of variable data.
1/8 of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to be very small, but a lot of these cutters are real good these days, you know. But anyway, so that's key, is that the height needs to match the paper size, and then it'll automatically stream on the back side of the card. So if you have a laser printer that does duplex, it'll print side one and then side two. And if I wanted to prove the point here, I could take my AV tool, draw a box, and then we have a function called RECNO, which means record number, and then I'll click OK, and I'll change this font to some really big font. Let's do something like 20. So now we have the record number in 20 point. I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it down into this frame. So now we have it on detail 1 and detail 2. I'm going to go ahead and save those changes and print it. And I'll choose the Adobe and hit print. And now I'm going to go into here as soon as it's finished printing. And you'll see how record 1 now is on both side 1 and side 2. In a second, it will show up here. Huh?
You do multiple up.
That's imposition. So we're not doing imposition. Typically you'll go one up and then you'll have a full PDF and then you put it to a software that just does the imposition, like 20 up on a sheet or something like that. But just let the cat out of the bag, that's one of our new products we're coming out with, this PDF app, which will do not only the imposition, but it will extract the address block, clean it, put it back in, reorder the document in pre-sorted order, and you're off and running. So it'll do all that. That's our new product coming out this year. It'll be a web-based secure app that you literally just drag and drop PDF documents on, and it takes care of all of it.
Are you suggesting that you can do the whole CAS NCOA from
Everything. All you do is identify the address block, and we'll
That's really helpful. How
extract it. It's
Next week.
well, the technology we're testing it right now in beta with one of the largest postcard companies in the U.S. And as soon as that beta's done, we'll be ready to go. Because the nice thing is that once we extract it, we can run it through any of our technologies, right? CAS, NCOA, deduping, apartment append, DSF2.
And you have a secure way of making sure that it gets back to the right document.
Oh yeah, multiple documents. We're not talking just one. You can literally push 5 or 6 or 10 documents, and he'll come out with one document in pre-sorted order, commingled. Okay, so back to this though. Notice that you can see the record number right here. 1, right? And I'll go to the next page.
Yeah.
I know. And then 1 right there.
Oh, there it is. I was looking for it.
1. And then if I go to the next one, there's 2 right here. And then the next page, it's 2 right here. Could have been in a worse position. Oh, definitely. Could have made it white. All right. So anyways, you get the point. But I can go back in here real quickly. I'll do this. We'll make it some better font. Calibri, bold.
Yeah, there you go.
Calibri, bold. And then we can turn the font white There we go, or even better, red.
Yeah.
And now we can do it again, and I can limit the printing. I'll just actually put the whole thing there. And, oh. And Donna, I think she did one of the classes. I'm surprised Donna didn't know how to do that. That's actually pretty simple. You guys should have told me you didn't know how to do duplex printing.
I had really bad training.
27 years. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open it up. There you go. One. And, I didn't change the other one. Right? This. Oh, what an idiot. Two. And then two is over here. Okay, you get the idea though. All right? So we're going to go back now, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And remove this. So you guys can create a detail band. How many of you actually use our label template to generate more than just labels? Nobody uses the label template. Nope.
Change the name.
You're going to change it. Because this is free. So you can do a lot with it. You can take all your press-ready images, and it's extremely powerful. So on here, on these images here, how we get them to change positions, if I double-click on the image, under print when, we told this image to print when the record number divides evenly into two. When this is a function called mod, and when that takes that number and divides it. So if we wanted to print it on every fifth record, we could change that to 5. And for every fifth record, it would move that or change a color or change a font to whatever we wanted to. So we can dictate it, or we could have indicated a field. When a certain field, like when they're married, maybe we have something pop up. If we knew their anniversary date, we knew their birth date, we could have it print happy birthday on just that single piece of mail based on a date. You know, we could also have a print variety of calendars. So, I mean, there's so many things you can do with conditional statements. So this one actually will print that image when it's record 2 is equal to 0. And then this image down here, let me go ahead and click on print 1. So this one is set to print it when it's even. Notice that there's no exclamation point in front of it. An exclamation point means not. So when the object is not 2, it would print there. So this one is an exclamation point. So, or we could have actually put the word not or exclamation. They mean the same exact thing. And by the way, our customer service will help you. This doesn't qualify for like a professional services thing. We'll help you set up a template. So if you have images and you want to do something with them and write these small conditions that are inside of these, we'll write all of that for you. Just log in, we connect to your computer, and we'll actually write the expression for you. If you're bold and you want to write them yourself, they're all listed under here. We have quite a few expressions that can do pretty much anything with data, parsing it. There's a variety of date handlers here. Like if you want to get the month of today's date, or you want it to change it to a string, or if you want to get today's date, there's a date function. There's quite a few functions in here that you can use and incorporate with all of your different business logic within these templates. So like XMPie, it's very robust. But even so, you can even reference a lot of our functions that we have internal to AccuZIP that you would run through your command window. You can actually access them through here. So if like Eric wrote you a command that did something specific with data, you could call his function within the report template, which could be really, really powerful. If I had a little more time, I was going to try to make these templates communicate with RESTful APIs outside. So you could grab stuff from like Google or grab some other stuff in real time as it's printing to the template. But we can do that too. We can expose our RESTful API or other RESTful APIs on the internet, so they're printing in real time as these are being generated, which could be useful in some cases if you need that real time data when you're printing.
So something maybe like the stock market?
Sure.
What's the Dow right now?
Yeah, exactly. And or what the national debt is. I think it changes every millisecond. The national debt, it just keeps going up. But you could do any of that stuff with this. So you just have to be creative on that. Okay, so I talked about the detailed band, and literally it's that simple. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one from scratch. So let's go ahead and I have a template here that I have that's completely blank. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Test. and then I'll click edit. So this is a blank shell. So what's the first thing that you would do to create a duplex printing with AccuZIP? First thing, you do your paper size, and then what do we do with a detail band? There's only one, so it's going to print single-sided. What?
You need to add the second one?
Yep. And all you do is simply right-click anywhere on the screen, and you would choose optional band, and then you have your detail. All you do is add a detail band. That's it. And click OK. And now there's your second detail band. So if I wanted to make it the same as the first one, it's 5.5. I just double-click on it and make this one 5.5. That's it. You could also do 3 detail bands. And remember, with 3, if you made the second one half the height of the card, and the next one, they're all individual detail bands. So think of using this for a utility bill, right? Because utility bills typically have more than one line on them, right? You know, they could have multiple utility bills, multiple sections to a utility bill, and each one of them need to be formatted slightly different. So you can really get pretty extreme with the AccuZIP report generator. Actually, I know of many people that actually generate their invoices right from the AccuZIP product. They actually maintain their data in AccuZIP and actually generate invoices directly from AccuZIP. And what they typically do is like a pseudo invoice, not an actual real invoice, but kind of like a marketing invoice in a way. But then when they get paid, a real invoice would actually go out. But it's a great way of, how many of you have a perpetual business to your business? Like services, right? Yeah. Where you bill them monthly?
Every month.
Every month, right? So this would be good to where if it's an optional billing, you could literally send them out a pseudo invoice. It looks like an invoice. And typically that's more effective than sending them out, do you want to renew? Or do you want to do, you're giving them the ability to say yes or no. So when you mark it, you try not to let them say yes or no, right? So you just invoice them because they typically would pay the invoice, right? Or not, but typically they will pay the invoice. So anyway, so we start with a detail band, and then the very first thing we want to do is we want to add an image. So up here on the top, you have the box, which allows you to draw objects, and you can make those objects like the outline. Let's say you wanted to make it red, so you tool, and you can make the inside of it red. Second here. There we go. There we go. Make it green. And then you could also adjust the properties inside of it. So your style. So here we have the background is green. We could make the inside of it, whatever, I don't know, bright yellow, something like this. And then we could change the point size on it to whatever we want. We could also curvature it, something like that. And the cool thing is we can tell it on here on our conditions under print when to only print this when the record is the 5th record. So we use that recno again, and we say record number 5. That's the only time that object will print. And then we click OK. So that's conditional printing. And then we use the OLE tool, draw it, to choose an object on the disk. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one of my images on the disk. You're going to love this. This VDP, and I'm going to go to, let's go to Homes, and I'm going to type in star so I can see some of them. Here we go, some of the panes. Double click. And if we say for it just to simply clip the image, whatever size we have the box, it'll clip it to. So I could actually make this, and you see how it's not resizing the image? Or if I only wanted it to be that exact size, when I double click on it, I can tell it to scale the image and retain the shape. So the nice thing about this is if you have pictures or images, let's say real estate agents where you want to put the face right underneath their address, doesn't matter how they give it to you, we'll scale it exactly in proportion to shape and then print it. You see now, it's going to always be that particular size, no matter what image fills into that box. I know you knew that. Right? And then if you just wanted to simply fill the frame, so let's say you had patterns or whatever, you could choose just fill the frame. So it's not going to do any scaling. It's going to be whatever physical size this is, even if it's not proportioned, which is kind of cool. So now we take that to the next level. So let's say we want to go ahead and scale it to retain shape, but we don't want to use a pointer to the image. Now we want to make it variable. So to make this variable, we use what's called an expression right here. And now for the control, it's literally a path to where the object is. So in here, I'll go back to VDP. I'm going to go to, I'll do homes. And I want the home to print. So I'm going to have either this one print, or this one print, or this one print. So they begin with a number, and that number represents, remember, the home ID that was in our database? And I know it's in this folder, so I'm just going to simply highlight the path. And then I'm going to bring it in, and we're going to put the path in quotes because it may or may not have spaces. And then we're going to add plus, and then the name of the field, which is home ID. Okay? Now, they're all pings. See? We go into here, they're all PNGs. So with AccuZIP, we can either just type that in and hit plus PNG, but this home ID may or may not have spaces in it. So we want to use a function called force extension, which means that it's going to trim out all the spaces on the name, and it's going to give it that extension, whatever I put in here, PNG. That's it. So it's going to take whatever values in home ID, and it's going to be the path with a PNG extension. And I'm going to click OK, and now it's a box. Now we'll go ahead and I could preview this right now just by choosing Print Preview. And there we go. Remember, it's duplex printing.
Yep.
That's why the second page isn't printing anything. That's simple. And it's fast when it generates it. Does anybody have any questions?
I didn't see on number 5 the green box.
The number 5. Oh, nice. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good point. Hold on a second. I messed up.
Does it?
Oh, duh, equals 0. Ah, that was good. Very good. At least you're paying attention.
Yeah, it was a test.
Hey, you see? Okay,
Isn't that cool?
that's cool.
So we're just showing you some examples. I know they look kind of like, well, not simple, but kind of rude. But you can apply this to any technique you guys want to do with any asset that you have and any business logic. So if you just think about it, you don't have to know the logic, like the force extension or the mod one. You don't have to know how to program. Just know what you want to do, write it in an email, shoot it over to Eric at AccuZIP.com. No, I'm just kidding. And just shoot it over to support. And then we'll just give you back what to copy and paste in there. The beauty is once you have a template created, it's done. If you really think about it. So remember I was saying earlier, I think I was saying, remember when the welcome speech? If you were all there, I was saying you want to have a niche and you want to be really good at one thing. You all know Postcard Mania, right? They're really good at printing postcards. Well, I have companies that are really good with dealing with auto shop, like dealers, like auto dealers. That's all they do. They're known for that and they do it really well. So, you know, maybe you're known for working with pizza shops, and then you just create a kick butt marketing campaign and you sell it to all the print shops within a 40-mile radius. And you make a template so you can plug it. You make a template that works. Maybe it has A, B, or A, B, C, D kind of things. You walk and you get these pizza places come in and say, this has been very effective for us. And then you get their assets and you just put their assets into a folder, right? All the business logic, just like XMPie. Once you set up an XMPie template, you can actually control, just get as many clients as you want, and you funnel it all through that same business logic with just different assets, different pictures, different maps, but it's all funneling through the same template.
Do the graphics all have to be PNGs? Can they be PDFs? Can they be
They can be
JPEGs?
JPEGs, they can be JPEGs, they can be PNGs, what other
BMPs just.
Yep. All those. None of the vectors, but you'd have to convert. They'd have to convert. It doesn't print the vector images, but all high res. You can be 1200 by 1200, whatever, and you drop them in there, and they can be entire images, like with everything on it. and then you can add images to that, like those teasers that print at the top, maybe happy birthday, or you can even do rotation on here. So if you have a font, you can rotate it and have it print on there as well. There's a rotation at whatever degree you want. You can increment it by 1 degree. So yeah, so it gives you a lot of flexibility.
On the of course, on the list that you were working from, there was a lot of data there. And if you're doing list acquisition through somebody, of course, you want to know what the pointers are and what their meanings are and stuff. Is that easily shared back so that I know that, column G is the values of those homes? There's a Q that says A through Z is X.
Oh, you want to know what the values actually mean?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying,
Right.
To build the list is the key.
Yep.
To do the variable data. So, yes, and you can go list source, do customers. I mean, a lot of what we see when we talk about data is the future is you go into companies and they have shit data.
They do. They do have a lot. No, he's exactly right.
And,
So what I was going to show you now is how to source the data, actually how to get this demographic data into your software 24/7, and it's really good stuff. I'm going to show you our website. I don't know if you guys know, but we also sell mailing lists. Really good ones, and we guarantee them.
Which will be in the
Meaning
2
you
o'clock
only
class, by the way.
what?
Which will be in the 2 o'clock class.
Which will be in the 2 o'clock class. Yeah, I just want to show you quickly. It's not going to be super.
No, it's fine.
But anyways, we have a website here that shows you you can order any demographic you want. Eric will go through it specifically, but you can upload your own list. You can generate an EDDM list on the fly. You can also generate a targeted mailing list, which is what I did, based on anything. So if I wanted to do a radius around a particular home, or like let's say we were selling a home, I could drop it in here. Let's say I was doing it around our office. I just choose it, and then it'll drop it on a map. I'm going to type it in 2450 South Shore. There we go. And we should be able to choose it from that map below. My mouse. Why is that window coming up? There we go. Okay. So there's our radius. And right now it's a 1 mile radius, but you can increase it to whatever you want just by dragging this, and then it'll go out. So I'll go ahead and zoom out so you can see. You can also drag the pin around and move it to a different part like this, and it's 8.6 right here. And then once that's been added, you can then choose amongst all the different list types. So now with our service, you can actually download a consumer list, a business list, a new homeowner, all of them at the exact same time. So if I want to do a consumer, then we can pull any of the demographics here. So we could do by estimated household income, and we could choose, any of these, and we just add them. And we add the next one.
I'll be in that list.
Yep. And then if you want, you can just click generate report, and it'll actually generate a detailed count report. You can see on those 2 areas, it gives you the breakout. So remember those codes we were talking about? Number 3 indicates the 15,000 to 19,000, and number 7 would indicate that. So you can then have this list. We also have a documentation that shows you the breakout of all of the demographics that we sell.
Where did you go on the website?
Huh?
Where did you start on the website?
Oh, right here. Oh, it's AccuZIP.com.
Right.
/lists.
Lists.
Yep.
Yep. And then all of these are done in real time. So these counts are all real time. When you go ahead and click next, you can generate your variable maps. So I could tell it right here to include variable maps. You can choose between 2 different map types, how you're going to get there, walking or whatever. And then you can choose the different map styles. You can also choose the map size. So let's say you wanted a 3-inch by 3-inch map. And you can also choose the recipient and the destination icons right here. So you just choose whatever icon is going to be the destination. Let's say it's the airport. You can choose between the colors. So let's say you wanted it to be blue and you wanted the route to be maybe black. And then it'll change those. It takes a second. Let's see if we make sure it shows it. There we go. And then you can type in your destinations, and you can add up to 5. And what it does is when it processes your list, the closest one to that home address, it will give you the directions to. So you don't even have to know the closest. So if you're marketing for Domino's Pizza and they have 5 locations, you can add all the locations to Domino's here, and it will give that person the driving directions from their home to the closest Domino's Pizza. And then you would just hit next, of course. If I'll just type in an address here, I'll say Domino's in Seabrook, right here. Nice to have my big monitors don't do this. There we go. And then also on the icon, so each particular destination, you can change the icon color and the icon. So if I wanted this to be something different, I could go ahead and choose whatever I wanted it to be and whatever color I wanted it to be.
Can you make it a custom icon like a pizza?
Yep. You can do custom icons as well. So if I went into icon, I go over to custom, and then you give it the name. So you give us the icon, we tell you what the name will be, and it'll be unique to you. And then you just type in the name, any name you want. We have customers that have their own icons. So, and then you hit next, and of course you can apply any of the, it's giving me, says, okay, you gotta put your email address in. I'll put my email address in, and then hit next. And then this one is what we want to do on the list. So we can do address quality, NCOA, deduping, all our DSF2, deceased processing, all of this, including prepare a full service mailing. And then Eric, I won't do a mailing, we'll hit next. And then that's it. There's your lists and your maps and everything, and then you hit next and you pay for it. And then it downloads in real time, then you use it in AccuZIP. The cool thing about these lists are, and I'll show you what they look like. I'm going to show you what they look like here. We're going to go, these are, we give you every single field. Let me just pull one out here, open folder. So remember I told you that all of our lists are combined. So they're all one big long list of all of the different mail list types. Right here. So the very first field tells you where the list came from. This record came from our consumer list. We scroll down, it could have been a business list. So there must be a big consumer list. Let's go down to the bottom. See new mover. And at the very top, you'll notice the columns, gender, like all the different columns, all the way across, county, phone, married or not married. That information will change based on the list type. Oh, thank you. And then home value, home status, their lat and long. You've got, if it was a business, you'd have all the NIC, when the year established, what their credit rating was, all the accounting information, how many pets there are, art, whether they like art or not. You can see all the demographics. So when you just use a little bit of demographics, let's say you just want to know their home value, we give you all of our demographics. So you're not paying for any of the other demographics. You're getting all of them, even though you only asked for one. So you'll know how much their income is, whether they own a dog or a cat, how many cars they have, all of that stuff. We give you all of that data so that you can see in an Excel spreadsheet how many columns there are. Women-owned business or whatever. So now you take that list, you suck it into AccuZIP, and you print your template. And if you want to know some ideas on how to create templates that you can use across multiple customers, we can help you with that. Yes, sir.
If you wanted the variable maps on an existing list you already have, you would upload your list
Yes.
on there and go through that whole process?
So that same process Eric will be showing you, you upload a list and it will give you driving directions from every one of your customers to whatever. You can enter up to 5 destinations.
Awesome.
Really powerful stuff. There was some surveys done on how powerful variable maps are.
Okay.
Like, for example, voting.
Oh, yeah.
Getting to a poll station, right? Or pharmacies, like marketing to older people and what the nearest pharmacy is, CVS or something.
Is there an average cost per record?
Yes, we charge, is it 3 cents flat for any record, any volume? There's no limit. You could buy one record. It could cost you 3 cents.
Okay.
The maps are a different pricing structure. Would you have the pricing on them?
I have the price in the next class. You'd have to go to the next class to see.
Well, wait, there's more. So the 3 cents is just for the record.
The 3 cents is just for the name and address. And remember, that's no matter what volume. I mean, it's really cool. It's a flat rate, even on the specialty list, like the new homeowner, new mover, new businesses, 3 cents. It's the same price as buying a consumer or business list. He'll explain that in the next one. I'm not going to go over Take care.
I'm talking about, I'm done.
He's done.
Do you have age of children at all?
Yes.
Like children by exact ages?
Yep. It shows the age of the children, I believe.
I think that's against the law.
It is?
Probably a range.
It might say.
Might be a range.
I think
Pretty sure it has
just get children in a home.
Right.
Oh, children present.
Yeah, children present.
Okay, children present. But I think you can get the, I know there was an age, actually I know there's an age.
I think there's an age of the owner, but I'm not sure.
There is an age element on the demographics. I don't know if it pertains to the children. It's probably the adult. Right.
It's these old.
So if you want to do, people from 50 to 65, you can definitely do that because I know there is an age demographic option. We are adding one more thing. We're adding residential, so you don't get names, you just get addresses, saturate, or you can do EDDM, which saturates anyways. But we are adding residential occupant lists.
So the 5 is a hard limit, five addresses going in and picking them.
On the interface it is, but in my next class I go over to my RESTful APIs, you can expand that to more than 5. So my RESTful course is going to be, I have a lot more material, but it's really good and really boring if you're not a programmer because it's really technical. It's about RESTful APIs. This is more of a, but at least now you know the capabilities, whether you use it or not, of our label generation, which is very powerful duplex printing.
Is
1 minute.
that all available in the print-only version?
Yes.
And you do all the VDP just because
Yes.
that way you have one software license that's doing all your standardizing, and then
Correct.
you got 5 other people who can
Yep.
do the.
And the print-only version of our product is absolutely free, and you can have as many as you want. So you can have one license of AccuZIP, and then all the print stations you want. And you can go in there and modify and create and use templates from the production one or create them yourself in the print-only version. Okay, guys? Thank you very much.